Hey gang, David Krueger here. In the last video, I explained to you and described how I saw the elite insider, Kevin Trudeau, use the actual manifestation, the secret manifestation techniques that are used by the world's most successful people. I described to you how I saw him use it and create amazing things. I got a great question on that video. Someone asked, have you ever used it, David? The answer is yes, and I'm going to give you a personal example in this video. So hey gang, I'm David Krueger. I am the marketing coordinator for the Global Information Network as well as Kevin Trudeau's other companies. Kevin is a New York Times best-selling author, natural health advocate, infomercial king, generator of billions of dollars in sales. Anyone in business circles, anyone in marketing circles knows his name. Kevin is an elite insider. He was the chairman at one point of an organization called the Brotherhood. The Brotherhood is, think of it as a senior organization to organizations like Skull and Bones, organizations like Bohemian Grove, like the Bilderberg Group. These people are some of the most powerful people in the world. They are parts of clubs and organizations. They are like a fraternal brotherhood. It is the people who run the world all working together. None of it's random. And Kevin was very much a part of that for a long time. I'll tell the story of when and how he left that organization. But Kevin is a pretty amazing person. And those of us in the Global Information Network have the privilege of learning from him, as have I for the last 15 years. I'm going to tell you a story about how I myself have used this manifesting technique he teaches that really no one else knows. First of all, let me review what this technique is. You have probably watched movies like The Secret, listened to Abraham Hicks and all kinds of other stuff out there on the internet and other places that talks about, you just got to believe. You just got to dream. You just got to think about it and believe that it's yours. That's part of it. Here's how it works. You have to find your pain. You have to find the thing that you will no longer tolerate anymore. You got to get angry. And if you're not angry, find a reason to get angry. Find something to get pissed about. You have to look at your business that's not making any sales. You have to look at your bank account that's, overdrawn. You've got to get mad and say, I'm not going to take this anymore. That's it. Period. Then you start to condense, you condense that energy. He actually showed it to me like this. You condense the energy because condensed energy is powerful. It's dense, it's strong. The thing about being light and airy-fairy is like the energy dissipates. It's like steam. It's like ice is very hard and heavy, and steam just kind of floats away. It feels better. We like to be light, but there's not a lot of focus in all of that lightness. So condense the energy, getting angry about what you don't want. Then you get a picture in your head of what you do want, probably the opposite situation. You're broke, your bank account looks terrible. You want to see $100,000 with $10,000 coming in every month. Print out your bank statement and write it all on there. Look at it like that. But you have to get the feeling of what it's going to feel like when you have that. And you got to feel it right now. And then you take all that condensed energy and you just kind of throw it at the thing that you want. Throw it at the image of the thing that you want. Then you let it go. And you say, I don't care if I ever get it or not. I feel fine just now. Just the way I am now. A lot of this stuff seems contradictory. It seems like, well, wait a minute, I got to get angry. And then I got to throw the energy over here. And then I got to let it go and say, I just don't care if I get it at all. David, what the hell are you talking about? This really is how it works. It's a recipe. And you got to do it in sequence. The purpose being to contract a lot of strong emotion. That's your horsepower. That's the gasoline. You got to get the feeling and the picture of what you want. That's the navigation, so you know where you're going. And then you got to have a release statement to the universe, the God, whatever thing. And I'm fine if I don't get it at all because I feel good just right now. And that's releasing all of the blocks. Most of the time we don't get things, not because we can't think about what we want, it's because we're blocking ourselves. And so that's another magic element, is releasing the blocks. Okay, so when did I do this? I like to think I do it on a fairly regular basis, but I'll give you an interesting story about when I did it. I used that procedure to come into the company and the mentorship of Kevin Trudeau himself. People used to ask me, how did you, so many people wanted to get close to him and work with him and ask him questions. I lived with him for 4 years. I was managing director of Gin for a while. Worked with him right when he came out of prison, after his stint in prison, after his little dust up with the Federal Trade Commission. And it had a lot of access to him at a very interesting time in his life. People would ask me, how did that even happen? How did so many people would have liked to have been in that situation? So I'll tell you real quick what I did. I had left the Global Information Network for a while. Kevin went away about 2013. Around 2015, I left the club. There were different people running it. It didn't have a different energy. It wasn't the same as when Kevin was there. So I went off and moved on to other things. And what happened was I stopped doing all of the things I was taught to do in gin. I stopped reading books. I stopped listening to audios. I stopped associating mainly with positive people who were like on the same track. I just kind of went back to life. And I was fine for a while because I was in a really good place. But what slowly started to happen is negativity creeped back in. I started watching the news. My relationship took a turn and ended up ending. My finances went sideways. I had a business go belly up. And so a few years later, there I was in dire straits and wondering what the hell happened to my life. And I did rejoin Gin. I went and found it online and saw that it was still there. And they signed me back up. And but I was still dealing with the fallout of my decline. And so I ended up with a business folding. I had to move out of my townhouse apartment. My girlfriend moved out, and then I had to move out and moved in with my mother for a while in my mid-40s, which was it's a humbling experience. I mean, it was nice. Living in mom's basement for me was like having my own apartment. It was beautiful down there. My mother maintains a beautiful home, but I felt like a failure. I didn't want to tell anybody what my situation was because I was ashamed. And I was angry. I was very angry. And I contracted that energy. And I said, I'm never going to feel like this again. And I thought about myself as very successful, on top of the world, someone people respected. And I saw myself very clearly. I wasn't even trying to do this, side by side with Kevin Trudeau. And I had no resistance to it. The thought of it would make me smile. I was like, yeah, someday. That would just be the thing, wouldn't it? That would be great. And I think my conscious mind thought there was no way that was ever going to happen. So ironically, there was no resistance to it. It would just make me smile, and I let it go. And I did that for a while. It's just kind of a thought that would pop back into my head. And then in real life, sure enough, as we were going through COVID, and I was living in mom's basement, and we were all looking at conspiracy theories online, wondering if we were ever going to get out of our homes and take these masks off. In the middle of all that, Kevin Trudeau's getting ready to come out of prison. His term is finally coming to an end. And he put out a call for a volunteer group. He called it Team Alpha back then. And he was looking for, just a team of about 25, 30 volunteers to help him with research projects, help him get some initiatives going. We weren't sure if Kevin was going to be able to be involved with Gin or what was going to happen then. Well, I raised my hand and said, that's a no-brainer. And I got on a Zoom call with him, and he interviewed me, and I couldn't believe I was sitting there having a conversation with this guy. He had just come out of prison. Little side note, found out he was living with a good friend of mine by the name of Josh Noby. They were planning this for about 6 months, and Josh never said a word. He was sworn to secrecy. So a shout out to my friend Josh, whose integrity is above reproach, because he and I would do a call probably once a week, and he never mentioned it to me once. And it was Kevin who told me. Kevin's like, hey, I don't know if you recognize the background where I'm at. This is your friend Josh Noby's house. I'm living with him. I'm like, what? And so I'd get off the phone with Kevin Trudeau. I'm texting Josh. So you never told me. He was laughing because he couldn't tell me. But we were off to the races. And so I would volunteer and raise my hand and take things on. And Kevin and I developed a close working relationship. And I became the first managing director of the Global Information Network. And have been along for the ride ever since. And I have been on the Gin stage. I have learned a great deal from Kevin, and I continue to build new things, new dreams, and there's some things coming down the road now. So I use the technique to get close to my hero, to get close to my mentor, and learn directly from him. And I didn't even know the technique yet, not the way he teaches it now. I just looked back and saw the way I did it. I could tell you a few stories about things I've created. The trick you have to remember, the first step, and this is a hard one for people, is you got to get angry. You got to focus. You got to figure out what you're not going to put up with anymore. Feel the contraction, and then think about and articulate very clearly what you do want. And then start focusing that contracted energy on feeling it'll start to transmute, on feeling the feelings of what you really, truly want. And then let it go. Don't put a time frame on it. Don't put pressure on it. That, my friends, is a magical formula that will take you far. I will see you in the next video. Until then, this is David Krueger. I love you. Give me a like and a subscribe, and please comment on this video. Let me know if anything was unclear. Let me know what you would like to see a video on, and I will see you on the next one.